applause for David Kramer, everybody.
Thank you.
David, when you look around Cannes, there's no question that UTA has the biggest presence here out of any agency.
Yes.
What is your priority? Why do you invest so big?
So, first of all, thanks for inviting me. Thanks, everyone, for being here. We as a company that I've been at for now almost 33 years, have made a huge investment, not just in the client business and the different capabilities that we now have as a company, but seeing the value of partnering and marrying those clients with the brands that we represent or that we'd like to represent. And I think the good news is brands want to get closer to everything we touch, and whether that's the creators business, the athletes, the musicians, the comedians, film, television, etc. The good news is those clients also want to get closer to brands. So the marriage of those two things and the convergence of those things here at Cannes Lion is something we really, really believe in. We have about 125 people from UTA and various clients here to participate in every version of Cannes Lion this week.
I think one thing that's shifted over the years is that Hollywood cares much more deeply because of social media about themselves having direct relationships with the brands. How big of a deal is your job in connecting your stars to these folks?
It's a very big deal. There was a time where, not that long ago, where Hollywood stars, they were endorsing products, but their relationship to their fans, to their consumer base, if you will, was so different. And it's so unique today in that those stars, and we're just talking on the film and television side, want to get closer to their passionate fan base, and brands using them and them using brands, utilizing, I shouldn't say using, is a really great, productive way to do that.
When you think about your position, you're newly appointed CEO of UTA. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What are your priorities for leading this agency into the future? And I ask because if you think about CAA, very highly focused on sports, WME trying to redefine itself post the Silver Lake deal, how does UTA carve itself out? So,
UTA is I think, a very unique place. Like I said, I know I'm biased. I've been there since the beginning of my career, starting in the mailroom. But we've always been a very client-centric, forward-thinking, wildly collaborative place. And in the market today, you need to work from the client out, be very forward-thinking, and be wildly collaborative. Because in the old days, clients used to stay in their lane. Clients who did this one thing. That has been obliterated. And so what we've done over the past decade in particular is we've made about 22 different acquisitions to build out the suite of services for the clients that we represent. And where we've done it, we've tried to make it where we have a right to win because of what we were already doing. So we are in the sports space. We made a huge investment in the sports space. We were the first agency to invest in the creator space. We started our digital influencer business 19 years ago, 1 year after YouTube started. And people were confused by that, and we did that, and now we are the dominant leader in the creator space, both in terms of the digital influencers, a company called Digital Brand Architects that we bought about 7 years ago, and our audio space, our podcast group. We represent the biggest and best. So what we've seen is building out all these capabilities, and going back to your original question about the value of the platform for the brands, it's remarkable.
Who are the big creators that you're bringing this year to Cannes?
I think Alex Cooper's here, Jake Shane is here, Alex Earl is here. By the way, and then it's not just creators. I mean, I think we have 15 different musicians here performing. We have several of our athletes I saw today here. And so that's the other interesting thing that's happening is all of those people are not just involved with all these different brands and companies. They're coming here. They want to get to know these brands. It's really exciting.
From where you sit, is Cannes Lion bigger than Cannes Film now? Is it bigger and more impactful in the industry?
It's more expansive in terms of who it interacts with. I mean, Cannes Film Festival obviously is a very special place, but it's very specific to movies, period. That's it. Here, I feel like there's such like you just said, all the guests here tonight, they're all representative of different areas of a similar ecosystem, but doing different things. So I do think Cannes Lion is a more expansive place, and it's why you see, not just us being here the way we are in force, but so many different companies, and you've seen the beaches and you've seen the parties. It's pretty different than it probably was a decade ago for sure.
I mean, it's all big tech. Like, what's your take on that? Should we, as people in the content industry, be stressed about the fact that every single person who has a beach is a big tech company and we are a few blocks away from the beach?
Well, we can stress about it, but it is our reality, and so I think we have to embrace it the best that we can. You know, whether it's a tech company or new technology, you know, there are pros and cons to all of it. It cuts both ways. It creates lots of efficiencies and opportunities and cost savings, and it also creates some concern around what it will do to certain parts of the business. So I think what we're doing is spending a lot of time educating ourselves, partnering with different tech companies, and trying to educate our clients who have very different thoughts on some of the tech, especially AI in particular right now, and what it's going to do to the business. So some are very, very concerned. Some are very, very excited. Some are, what does this all mean for me? And so I think it's our obligation not just to educate them, but of course, and utilize the tools that will make us all better, but also protect our clients, their work, their IP, their likeness. And so it's farther along than we probably want to admit, but it's still in its infancy and most widely misunderstood or not understood at all by most.
Of all the types of clients, do you think it's grouped like, you know, creators are leaning into AI heavily while folks in the acting space are a little bit more hesitant? How do they think about AI differently?
Yeah, I think the different categories look at it differently. I think musicians look at it one way and what it might mean for their work, and I think that creators look at it in a generalization, a more positive way in terms of what they'll be able to create on top of what they already do without it. I think I think film and television folks and special effects houses, visual effects people, very concerned about it, what it might mean. And then business owners look at it as how efficient it will make their business, and hopefully, you know, give the opportunity to make movies and television at a cheaper cost. And I'd like to think, maybe naively, that extra savings will actually stay in the pockets of the talent as opposed to onto costs that maybe are unnecessary.
We will knock on wood for the talent. We are here tonight as 3C Ventures, Michael Caston's firm, is hosting a big party. And, you know, that used to be part of MediaLink, which is still a part of your company. We'd just love your thoughts on how important is MediaLink still to your business, and how do you think about the fact that there now is this sort of competing energy here at Cannes?
Well, MediaLink's very important to our business. The thesis behind our acquisition of MediaLink holds truer today than it did back in 21 when we acquired the business. So marrying them with our other brand advisory businesses, our ECM group, which is doing really, really well, and with just in the past 4 years since we acquired the company, all the additional verticals we added to the company, and like we just said, the desire of brands wanting to get closer and get more advice and more consulting and more, you know, connected to all these different verticals we're in business with, it's really important. Our brand advisory business for us is a very big growth area that we are going to try to maximize the potential of with both MediaLink, ECM, and the rest of UTA.
And so do you think that the future of MediaLink then looks a little different? Is it less coming here and doing big events and more leaning into the advisory work, or do you think it continues to operate the way it has?
Well, I think it's both, and I think it shouldn't operate no business should operate always the way it has, but I think that being here is important. Yes, the relationship building, being here is and all the connecting and building bridges we do between talent and brands and but I think the promise of the acquisition was not just having them continue to do what they do, but to also tap into the wealth of resources and the client base of UTA to maximize that acquisition.
You're one of the biggest leaders in Hollywood. I would love your thoughts on what is going on right now. We have Warner Brothers Discovery splitting, Paramount scrambling to hopefully get regulatory approval through a settlement so that they can sell. You know, Disney has teased and then taken back the tease of selling its assets. It seems like a very chaotic time. How do you look at it right now?
Well, it is a chaotic time, and we've had a chaotic time for the past 5-6 years when you really think about whether it's the streaming wars, the dual strike, the consolidation we've seen, Paramount, Skydance, what's going to happen, tariffs, that continues to come up and concern people. I love that the most stable places in the entertainment business right now are the agencies, which is there's a first for everything. I do think things are settling down. I think the Paramount thing, I'd like to think, is going to get done. I think that's good for the business. I think Warner's is unpredictable, although the spinning out wasn't that unpredictable. We all kind of saw that coming. And I think that certainly post-strikes on the film and television side, we're really starting to see some green shoots. It took a little longer to get back up and running, but I like where we're positioned. I like what we've built, and we've tried to diversify the company in a way to protect and insulate ourselves from some of the wackiness at the events of the business that we simply can't control. And so for us as a business, we're feeling very stable. We've had a really smooth transition on this CEO transition, which I appreciate, and I'm excited about the future.
Mailroom to CEO, that is a very impressive track. In your tenure, one fun thing, who is the one, and I mean, you've met a lot of celebrities, who is the one person that's actually had you starstruck?
That's a great question. You know, I think that the first time I met Harrison Ford, just because he was such a childhood icon and hero and legend, you think, the fact that, well, I've been in the entertainment business a long time, but you still, takes you right back to being a little kid and remembering him from Raiders of the Lost Ark and all the other incredible movies along the way. So I would say that was the one that got me. I'm sure he thought I was an idiot because I did get tongue-tied. But and by the way, we represent Harrison Ford. We've represented him for 20 years, and he still kind of gets me every time I say hi to him.
That is very impressive. Thinking about UTA bringing 125 people here, very big example of your commitment to Cannes. Also, when we talked about the future of MediaLink, that business thesis you said is more important today than when you acquired the company. So we will be looking out for everything that MediaLink is doing. We talked about all the influencers that you are bringing, Alex Earl, Jake Shane, who will be on our stage on Wednesday. Please come and join us, as well as Alex Cooper. And then just thinking about this AI conversation, the creators embracing it is really fun because we covered the Hollywood strikes, and we know traditional Hollywood was spooked, so we're very curious to see how Gen Z and Gen Alpha take it to TikTok. Round of applause, everyone, for David Kramer, the CEO of UTA.
Thank you so much. Have a great time.
Thanks, David.